hump day. It is Wednesday, and we're here for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. And I'm very excited to be here today with my friend Isaiah. And Isaiah and I met at SellerCon, right, in Austin. And
Yes.
it's crazy because I feel like we should have known each other all these years because we kind of have hung out in some of the same circles. We have a lot of the same friends, and suddenly we met each other at SellerCon, and we were like, wow, we should know each other. Let's hang out more often. Let's find out, what do you got going on? And I learned that Isaiah, has this really incredible story. And the other thing I learned about Isaiah that I thought was so cool was he was shipping his own products to Amazon in his own trucks. He figured out how to DIY shipping to Amazon. So naturally, with me and my issues of shipping to Amazon, since I have my own warehouse, I was like, wow, I want to learn from this guy. So here we are, Isaiah. I'm so glad to have you on the show today. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and how you landed in this e-commerce thing?
That's awesome. Well, Amy, it's great to be here and great to talk to you again. And obviously, you have a lot more experience than I do, um, and so for those out there who hearing me for the first time, my name is Isaiah Fritz. I am 23, going on 24 here soon, and I've been doing this since I was 15. So on Amazon. Now, when I was 11, I sold my first thing on eBay, and that was with my parents. They had been doing eBay forever since like 99 as like a side hustle. A lot of people, do eBay as a side hustle. And I really think that a lot of people forget what eBay did for so many households of just that extra income and created so many different entrepreneurs and so many different people that are in the Amazon game started with eBay. So I have a big shout out to eBay. They did a great job at helping so many different people, and so that's where we started. We would go to like yard sales and liquidation.com and buy a pallet and just sell the stuff on eBay and make a couple $1,000 and say, wow, this is great, just extra side income. And then when I was 15, I seen this button on Amazon. It said sell on Amazon. So I told my mom, I was like, why aren't we selling on Amazon? We sell on eBay. Why don't we sell on Amazon? And she's like, sounds too complicated to me. So I said, well, I'll let me try it. And so I clicked the button, filled out the form, and got an account up and running. And I was like, what do I have around the house that I could sell on Amazon? And I grabbed a Pokemon Game Boy Advance game that was in a storage auction, and it was selling. There's a lot of counterfeits on eBay of this game, so it was selling on average for around $20. But on Amazon, there's a lot less counterfeits and everything, so I guess people trusted it more. So it was selling for like $40. So I threw it on Amazon, and I was like, all right, well, it'll probably take forever to sell because it's double the price of eBay. I'll be like $1 cheaper than the next guy, and I put it on there, and my phone immediately got an email. It said sold. I was like, wow, that was really fast. So
You like literally just listed it and all of a sudden it just sold immediately.
yeah, I was like, that's crazy. And for double the
That's
price of
fast.
eBay, right? So I said, what else could I sell around the house, right? So then I started listing other stuff, and then I just was selling very quickly. And I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need to be $1 cheaper than the next guy. Maybe I could just be 1 penny cheaper. And then I was still selling. And so I, very organically learned Amazon with no mentors or YouTube videos or anything. It was just very much just in the beginning, it was just trial and error, trial and error. And eventually I started doing research online, ran across some blogs. Like, I don't know, do people read blogs still?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I get traffic to my blog, so I think people are still reading blogs.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy that his name was Ryan Grant, and I don't know if you know him, but he uh, said, I'm quitting my $50,000 a year accounting job, and I'm going to do Amazon full time. And since he was an accountant, he would share his financial results in detail every month on his blog. And so he did this, and I started learning a lot from this guy. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like I can learn what not to do. And he was about 2 years ahead of me as far as his journey. And so I ended up learning a lot from him, which was a lot of retail arbitrage, and then eventually I got into buying liquidation in bulk, and then 2018 I sold like 14,000 items that year, mainly liquidation, made really good profit, and then my account got shut down, and because I had 3 counterfeit complaints, and Amazon asked, "We want invoices from your manufacturer and distributor," and I'm like, "Well, I'll get you what I have, but and so I gave it to them, and they rejected it. So I appealed. I contacted Jeff. I appealed, and I had a 9-month battle. I had to lay off the only employee I had, which was a bummer. It was probably the hardest part. I don't know why, but it was pretty hard because we were good buddies. And then we I ended up fighting that for 9 months. Finally, on LinkedIn, got a hold of somebody who was high up at Amazon. It was Jeff Bezos' technical advisor at the time. And he got my account back. I got a personal call from Seattle that said, "We are so sorry for what we did to you, and we shouldn't have shut down your account. And here's your $40,000 we were holding from you. Here's your account back. Go sell again." So that
And how long did that take? So you got shut down in
August,
when July 2018?
yeah, August of 2018, and then it was like early 2019. I got it back.
Wow. You have been through like everything. I love the first part of your story, how you mentioned that you were just listing things. That's exactly how I started. In
Right.
2007, I saw this little button on Amazon that said sell yours here, and I was selling on eBay
Right.
occasionally. And I was like, wow, I was trying to buy used college textbooks at the time. And I
Nice.
was like, well, I could buy them and then I guess I could just sell them here. I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything like full time like your parents were or anything like that. That's so
Yeah.
cool that you got
Well,
that kind of.
they were part time too. I mean, it was just a
Oh,
part.
okay, but still, like,
Yeah.
I didn't really have that, that guidance. Nobody in my family was really selling online, but
Yeah.
I sold a few things on eBay and I started selling on Amazon, and I was doing the same thing. I was just going, I would find whatever was around my house. And I still to this day recommend that to people. I'm like, if you've never sold anything online, start scanning the things in your house and see if that would make you a profit, or if you could buy it, you could sell it. I used to sell CDs, I would sell video games, whatever I could find around the house. And it really helped me understand how Amazon worked
Yeah.
without needing to like order 1,000 units. And then you got into liquidation, buying liquidation pallets, I'm guessing. So can you tell us about that? Because I think a lot of people are curious how that works. Were you buying pallets and then what do you do with the extra stuff that you get that you really can't sell? Do you sell it somewhere else? Talk to us about liquidation and that business model, because I think people are still doing it and it's still kind of lucrative. So talk to us about how that works.
Yeah. Liquidation is an interesting game. And if you're doing it as like that's your job, and you're a small guy that's wanting to get started, it's definitely great, especially if eBay, where there's a lot less rules than Amazon. I mean, eBay's getting bad now as far as rules, and there's more people getting like brand doing IP complaints and stuff on eBay, and there's a lot on Amazon doing IP complaints. Brands are trying to have more control of what and where their products are being sold online. So that's definitely the big thing is you got to watch out for that. So as far as sourcing liquidation, I learned early on. My parents always did it, but I learned that dealing with used liquidation pallets that are like returns was not my thing, because if you, I remember my goal was I was going to buy a truckload of returns. I was like, man, I could get the whole truckload at 90% off. Well, I got the whole truckload at 90% off, and I paid $6,000 for a truckload, 26 pallets, and
Wow.
I lost money on it. There was like 30,000 items, and what I didn't realize is the amount of time that goes into seeing, does this vacuum cleaner work? Does it not? Can I sell a part off of it? There's so much time and energy that goes into inspecting every single thing to see if it works, see if it doesn't, and all that. That really I learned that used is not for me, because unless you had some incredibly good processes, and if you were doing, like, let's say all you did was vacuum cleaners or something, like, then you could
Mhm.
get really, really good at it. But the problem when you're buying a truckload, you're going to get like party favors, video games, like it gets really crazy and messy very quickly. So if you want to scale something, I don't recommend the used pallet stuff, which they're pretty easy to source if you just Google like liquidation.coms, or buy pallets of liquidation. B stock is really good now. B stock is really, really, really good. But now there's more and more players on B stock, so it's getting more expensive. But so I would say the liquidation that I got into successfully was more insurance claims. It was kind of unique, where basically a Walmart would have a fire, and they would have smoke damage. So the insurance company would give Walmart money for all the inventory, and then the insurance company would liquidate the inventory. So all the inventory was brand new. It was fresh. It was stuff in the Walmart, and you could still get it for pennies on a dollar. So I was with some people locally that were doing this, and they were selling it in retail stores. And basically, I would work with them and just kind of pick and choose what I wanted, and they would make a profit from, obviously they're buying a whole Walmart, right? And then I'm just buying a portion of that. So that was really successful for me, and that was kind of the niche that I was in. But overstock is a big niche also, where just, like your TJ Maxxes and stuff, that's where they get a lot of their stuff, is just brands that have too much inventory, which we're seeing a lot of this year, by the way. So you just
Yeah.
have to be really, really careful with liquidation, because it might seem like a really good deal, and then because it's a good deal, some other people are also getting this deal, so then the price on Amazon just drops dramatically, unexpectedly. So really, the biggest learning that I learned from that game is knowing and understanding your market. Like, no, like if you sell uh, toys, like if you really understand the toy game, or really understand the electronic game, or whatever, you'll kind of know, hey, I should stay away from this, or I should get into it. So I think if you want to scale and you want to grow, because I mean that's my mindset, you got to niche down and to have some sort of niche or specialty in that space, and you can do well.
Oh, that's really good advice. I think because wherever things are widely available, it's just like in the private label side of things where it's
Yeah,
like, okay, well, if we just go on a software like Jungle Scout or Helium
yeah,
10 and we use the filter and we find the low competition, high demand item, and then we go launch that. Well, that's what everybody else is doing, right? So if we don't change anything at all, then we just have a price war where what you were just saying, like a lot of people can get these return pallets. Like
yeah,
they're easy to get, and it's like you're going to have to go through all that stuff. You're going to have to figure it out. And it's not easy money. It
yeah,
seems like easy money. And that's where, all of us business owners have learned over time as entrepreneurs, we've learned, okay, whenever it seems too good to be true, it seems like easy money, it's usually not. Where you said, wow, I found, I stumbled upon this kind of fire sale, if you could call it that. Or, some of these other things that you could get new. You said, okay, I don't like getting the used stuff because I can't, really deal with that. And I lost money. So how can I still source liquidation, but other types of products? And then you were able to find these other niches that a lot of people maybe don't even know about because they're not as well known. So that's really, really good advice. My second question for you is about scale, because you figured out how to scale when you first started selling on Amazon. And this is something that so many people struggle with. They struggle with the path to scalability because we all start with this. Like for me, I started just sell my CDs. I'll sell my, whatever I have around the house. But then when I started my own private label in 2017, it was harder. I was doing retail arbitrage for a while. I was doing wholesale for a while because I was trying to scale retail arbitrage. Oh, geez.
United States now.
We're getting,
That's
yes.
cool.
Is your phone that too?
Yeah, everybody in the U.S.
Okay. My kid told me about that this morning. My child was like, yeah, today we're going to get this government alarm. And I was like, what are you, huh? Okay. Anyway, well, everyone, we're all looking at our phones right now, fixing this alert. So yeah, I guess my question for you is, how was it for you scaling? What lessons did you learn? For me, I was like, okay, I got to scale retail arbitrage. It's too hard to keep going shopping for the same stuff. Let me go to wholesale. And then I started buying things in wholesale. And then I would list things. And like you said, with the liquidation pallets, so many other people would list the same thing. And then I would be in a, in a price war. And then I was like, man, I don't like wholesale either. I'm going to do private label. And then, trying to figure out, how do I scale my private label? Can I grow my sales more of one product? How many products do I need to get to, this point? Do I need to start a new brand, So talk to us about your path to scalability and what kind of lessons you learned along the way.
It's a great question. And it's so funny. The thing with scale, it's a never ending ladder. Even Jeff Bezos and the top people are still trying to scale, right? They're still trying to grow and scale. So it's a fun game, and it's never ending unless you put it into it. So for what I did is after having the account shut down and all that, I was like, I'm not going to sell on Amazon again unless I deal directly with the manufacturers or distributors. I had tried private label. For me, I don't have enough patience for private label. So that was my biggest thing. I bought some salt lamps back in the day, and I was like, whatever. And dealing with the supplier was a headache. And then finally 100 emails back and forth. Then I finally get it into my garage, and then I ship it in, and then half the lights don't work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this is just, it just takes like 6 months to get here and all this. I mean, I made a little bit, but nothing really. So I was like, wholesale for me was just a lot more attractive because I just want to keep moving my money, and I had opportunities. So I was like, I'm just gonna deal directly with manufacturers. So I didn't know what I was doing, and that's a good thing. That is a strength, which a lot of people don't realize. Like not knowing what you're doing, but just you're going in the right direction and figuring out yourself is always been really valuable for me, because it's like, yeah, you can learn from other people, see what they're doing and all that stuff. But when you go do it and you do it your way, and you find the contacts your way and in your unique scenario, you're probably a lot less replicable than someone else who's just learning off of a YouTube video and following the step-by-step, right? So I just started knocking on doors locally. I just Googled manufacturers near me and said, hey, manufacturer X, can I sell your stuff on Amazon? They're like, who are you? What? Like, and so finally I hit a candle company that they had a private label website. That's they manufacture the candles, sold them on Shopify. They sold about $1 million a year, and I made a deal with them. Started selling them on Amazon and grew that business to 2 million in revenue in just a couple of years. And it was great. It was a lot of work. It was really hard because it was their brand, obviously, and I was just representing them on Amazon and got a cut of, just buy the inventory, sell it. And the cool thing about them, they had a lot of variations. So I did a lot of drop ship at the beginning, where I just listed the product and just kind of make to order type of thing, like made to order. And it was cool. It was a good, perfect scenario for me to be in. But it was hard work. I mean, I had to create all the listings, had to figure out the logistics part of it, like how to get the FBM labels to their warehouse. And they were not savvy, most advanced company out there. So I had to, figure out this like email form that we set up, that when we get an order and I would ship it to them. And but just I had to work very, very closely as their partner in this to really grow out their business, and it grew. I mean, and then I said, man, if I can do this with one company, I can do this with bigger companies, not just these little small, company that I'm doing 1 or 2 million. I mean, there's big companies that hate Amazon also.
I'm going to quote you on that when I write the blog about this. There's big companies that hate Amazon also.
Yeah, in fact, I learned everyone hates Amazon on the seller side. Really, I mean, there's only been one person I've ever met that actually genuinely loved Amazon, and I was shocked. I was like, well, you're number one bestseller in your category and everything for the last 20 years, and I don't know, maybe that's why you love Amazon. But I mean, I've never had like this extreme love for them, but I'm thankful for Amazon because it's how we make money. But anyway. So I started, going to brands at trade shows and saying, hey, here's what I did for this candle company. I can do it for you. And most people say no, but if you get 1 out of 100 that you talk to say yes, it's like boom, you just got a contract. And then I was during COVID, I made a really good deal. This was not a brand direct, partnership. This was just I seen that yeast was selling really well, so I bought as many pallets of yeast that I could buy from local distributors and sold them on Amazon and made a lot of money. And that's when I was buying yeast for $2.50 a pound, and on Amazon it normally sells for like $10 a pound, but the price went up to $20 a pound. And as me and you both know, that's just profit because the shipping cost is the same. And so I sold $300,000 in like 2 days. It was ridiculous, and so I had a big chunk of money that allowed me. This is key. It allowed me to start hiring people smarter than me. At that point, I had enough money where I said I need to go get people with more experience and just to help me build out a company, right? So I found people. I literally everybody's got a network. I didn't have social media or anything at the time, but I had a phone, and I started calling everyone on my phone, saying I'm looking to hire someone that can help me with operations. I'm more of a visionary. I need help with operations. I didn't know anything. I just Googled what are management positions in the company. And so I was like, I don't know, COO. Okay. I learned, okay, COO, that's who I need. And so I started calling everybody on my phone list. And one guy was like, hey, I'm retiring from like a Fortune 500 company. I kind of had knew him like sort of like my whole life on and off. He was a friend with my dad, and he was from Connecticut, and he was moving to Indiana, and he was like, hey, I like what you're doing, and I'll come work for you. So I hired him, hired one other guy that was helped me with marketing, and we built a company. And he knew all the corporate speak and the contracts and all that stuff, and he didn't know nothing about Amazon, zero, or anything about e-commerce, but he knew operations. So I was like, okay, let's start making more deals with more brands. And then we got in front of more brands, and we got contracts in front of brands, and we started doing more actual professional deals instead of these back of the handshake type, deals I was doing. And now we have 30 employees and 60,000 square foot building, and we have like around 15 brands that we're exclusive on, and we have a bunch more brands in the pipeline. I mean, we got $2 or $3 billion brands now that are signing contracts with us. So it's been pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love what you said about, I didn't know. I just Googled, I just Googled like this position, like what should I do? And then you just reached out and started asking questions. And,
Yeah.
In every single success story, that was the exact same thing that I did when I was learning. I invented a product, and
Nice.
I didn't know how to find a manufacturer in the US. I had to find a manufacturer in the US because my product was too big to produce in China. And I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I was educated. I had an MBA. Who cares? That didn't teach me how to do that. So I literally did the same thing as you. I just started cold calling manufacturers. I'm like, hi, I made a product and I need a manufacturer, and some of them would like hang up on me because, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was saying. But others would answer my questions and help me out, and before I knew it, I kind of crafted my pitch a little bit more.
Yep.
I perfected it, and I figured out, okay, I really need to sell myself. I need to have a better plan. I started going to the Small Business Association, Small Business Development Center meetings, and just learning like, well, okay, what do I need to do, and it's okay to make mistakes. I think that's the thing that keeps a lot of people from scaling. It
Yeah.
keeps you stuck when you're afraid of failure or you're afraid to make mistakes. You weren't afraid to make mistakes. You said, well, I might sound stupid, but I don't care. Like, I need to hire somebody. I have money. I've got some success. I need to move, So I love that. What would you say would be the biggest, quality that you had that enabled you to keep going and to continue to build your company?
Uh, Definitely having a mission and a purpose for sure. And, I grew up around nonprofit. My dad has worked in nonprofit his whole life. And so I was around a lot of servants in my family. And so I was like, hey, how can I help in my way? And I wanted to work in nonprofit because I just grew up around it and I wanted to be a servant. And so having that mentality and saying I'm working for something bigger than myself, like we do a lot for the community. We donate a lot of money. We provide jobs for people that we want to help and help build, and we also we provide value. That's all we do. We help people. We help brands. And having that mentality of like I'm not just doing this for the money so I can go buy a yacht or whatever. My goal is to help others, right? And so
Yeah.
making sure that you have a strong purpose beyond yourself will push you to higher heights and the next level that you wouldn't do if you just wanted to make some money. And from my experience, and also it's better for attracting talent, people that like to be around you and know that you're working for something greater are going to be stickier, and also you're going to build better relationships, more trust. Even your vendors and partners that you're working with, when you are just very open and honest with them and on what your goals are, and that you really want a mutual beneficial open honest integrity. I mean, a lot of companies are missing integrity nowadays. So if you can really have that, and which obviously I see that with what you're doing, Amy, and I know you got that down pat, but there's so many companies that don't have it. They're just, not non-existent. So that puts you, I believe if there's a one thing, that's the core. I mean, but then what comes off of that is persistence, right? So because I have a strong core, I was able to say, I'm doing something greater than me or whatever. I have a mission. I'm going to be more persistent than the next person, right? Because I want to get to it. I'm going, and then all these other like attributes that you need to have, not being afraid of failure and calculated risk and all these things. But they're very important. But if you have the core of a strong mission that's genuine and helping others, then all the other stuff just kind of falls in place.
I love that. People say that you should know your why. You should,
Yeah.
have something that is driving
Yeah.
you. And for me, I didn't know that I would end up with Amazing at Home, with this community. But what drove me is I got upset when I was inventing this product, and because there were so many people that tried to scam me, you know,
Yeah.
it really made me upset because, I thought, well, I'm an educated woman. I've served my country. Like, how dare you? How dare you try and scam me, you know? And I just, and when I ran into like the fourth product development company that basically said, you know, $30 to $50,000 to turn your drawing into another drawing, just really made me mad. And I really wanted to help not only myself, because my product was really going to help people. So I knew that I needed to get it on the market. But then also, I didn't want other people to be treated like I was treated and to be scammed. So I was like, you know what? I want to figure this out. Not only do I want to get my product on the market, but I want to figure this out because I want to stop this cycle of people, inventors coming up with products and just getting scammed. Like, people bring products to market every single day. There has to be a better way. So that became my mission, and it just drove me. And I think you're right. Like, I know you're right, because yes, I was a strong person, and I wasn't as afraid of failure. Of course, I still had fears that I had to swallow every day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what kept me going was, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to help other people, and, you know, help, you know, people with my product. And it really kept me going. And I had no idea what the universe had in store for me at the end of that rainbow. And it's still happening, you know, which is a really beautiful thing. So what an amazing way, what an awesome journey, and a way to look at your company, and a way to deal with your clients and your customers in a way that you know that you're providing value, and that you're doing so with integrity. I think, you know, you can only win when that happens. So I want to shift us before we kind of move and wrap up the day. I want to shift us over to talking about your shipping, your logistics and your shipping. You told me, you said, well, Amy, I just decided, you said something about how Amazon wasn't taking your shipments, or your stuff wasn't getting checked in on time. And you figured out a way where you could set up a shipment yourself, and you dropped off one of your first shipments with your car.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. What I'm working out of my house, right? I have a 3-car garage warehouse pull barn. I set up next door neighbor to my parents, and then I also put a little apartment in there, and I have a little dock on there, whatever. You know, it's just being cheap and you know, very scrappy entrepreneur style there. So, you know, I had this guy working at my house, right? My 3-car garage warehouse. And he's helping me ship. And he looks at me and says, you know, we're shipping this stuff to Indianapolis, and we're not too awful far, like an hour drive. Says, why aren't we delivering this stuff ourselves? And I said, um, because, you know, we can, well, yeah, that's a good point. Why aren't we delivering this ourselves? You know, why don't we try that? And so I basically got in my SUV, and I had something to deliver, and I drove it over to Amazon and had one package as a test, right? Said, hey, I got to deliver this package. And they said, who are you? I was like, my name's Isaiah. I'm here to deliver this package. So I ended up arguing with them. They got on the radio, went back and forth, and finally I just sat there, and they let me in and to the gated park, and I drove, and I gave my package to the Amazon employee and whatever, and left, and the thing got checked in like within 30 minutes, and I was selling it. I was like, okay, cool. I got to do this again. So then the next time they rejected me. They were like, absolutely not. Get out of here. So then I waited a good hour, and I came back, and I said, and I tried to get a different guard, you know. And so I came back, and they were like, who are you? I'm like, I'm FDS. And they're like, who's FDS? I said, you ever heard of UPS? They're like, yeah. I was like, that's like me, but I'm FDS. They're like, in your SUV. Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you in. So they let me in. So then I made up a little paper, and I printed out and said, we're FDS. And we put a little fake tracking number on there and all this stuff. And I started going in and saying we're our own carrier. right? And they would just let me in without an appointment or anything. Um, and I eventually bought a U-Haul truck and did this regularly, with my U-Haul truck. And then I ended up getting a 26-foot box truck and ended up doing it. But it, there's a lot of arguing at the gate because they're always like, "Where's your appointment?" and blah blah blah. And so finally, I was like, "Why don't we just start getting appointments?" So we ended up getting a Carrier Central account and started actually doing appointments and doing everything kosher, and it ended up, uh, you know, it, and it's actually way more difficult now than it used to be just a couple of years ago to do that. I mean, they're actually getting rid of a lot of the small carriers, and if you don't have more than like 10 shipments a month, then of us like appointments that are fulfilled, and they won't let you. And then there's so much more rules and regulations now than there was just 2 years ago, and they're really cranking down, and you have to tell Amazon exactly what's on your truck and all this stuff. And so I'm going to guess if you're using any sort of third party carrier that's even if it's an Amazon partnered carrier, like your stuff's probably going to get harder and harder to get in. Because so I used to think, like, why is it that I know it's a 3 hour drive or 2 hour drive? Why is it taking 2 weeks to get my stuff into Amazon? Well, what happens is it's so hard to get an appointment at a convenient time. So you try to get an appointment, and they'll say, Amazon does the same thing all the time with Carrier Central. They'll say, "Yeah, one a.m." and you're like, who delivers at 1 a.m.? Like, I mean, unless you're night shift or something. And then you're like, no, I don't want 1 a.m. I want, and then there's like this whole game you play with them where you can adjust it like 6 hours, and then you come back and adjust it another 6 hours, and then there's like this whole like it after doing it for a long time, you kind of figure out the game a little bit. But like most carriers aren't going to figure out this game, right? And it's super annoying. Um, so the benefits of delivering to Amazon yourself is that you deliver it and it's in there, it starts selling same day. I mean, it's awesome. And you're off to the races, and you don't have to wait this 2, 3, 4 week period, whatever it is. So that's the benefit. The cons to it is they're making it harder and harder to do it yourself, and it's kind of annoying. And like, I even bought a semi to do it. And it's kind of complex. So, but one hack that has been working pretty good is that Amazon Freight. If you are at the level where you're selling in, you're doing full truckloads, like we do several full truckloads a week. And if you're doing a Amazon Freight, it's still not the easiest thing in the world, but it does work pretty good. And the cool part is you can put multiple shipments on the same semi, right? So you could do, 10, 20 different shipments or whatever, and try to get stuff to the same facility. And which that's
Yeah,
also,
because Amazon Freight goes to the same facility. It guarantees you that everything goes to one warehouse, but it's a truckload at a time, right? So it's a 50-foot truckload at every time that you're going, right? But their rates are pretty good too, right? Like their shipping rates are. You're like, they're not as good as my SUV, but
yeah, they're okay. They're okay. That's all I'll say. I mean, they're not that bad, but they're definitely not doing us any favors for sure. I mean, you could definitely get cheaper rates everywhere else.
Yeah. So are you still, to this day, you said you're using Amazon Freight. Do you still have your own shipping company now? Are you still using?
Yeah, we do. We still have the FDS and try to.
So you just made that up. What does it stand for now? Did you like?
I was just thinking like Fritz delivery services,
Oh, I like that. I like it. FDS, like UPS. I love it.
Yeah.
My gosh. I love, you're definitely innovative, and it's really, really awesome. So tell us, what are you doing today? So you have scaled you built this company, and and you are now representing all these brands and selling their stuff on Amazon for them. You're still shipping some of your own stuff in. But what are you doing today? And yeah.
As far as the shipping, and I'll kind of close the loop on that, is we are, we're, one thing we learned is that you don't have to buy your own semi. You can partner with, there's a lot of owner operators out there that have their own semis that you can partner with. So if you are at that level, or even I partnered with a local moving company that had a 26-foot box truck, and I would just pay the moving company to drive my stuff up to Amazon. So you don't have to buy your own truck and everything. There's people out there that have trucks that need work, especially now trucking's down like crazy. So it's pretty easy to find, just call some moving companies, call some local owner operators and if you wonder how to find owner operators, you can just search on the, I think it's FCMA website, or there's wherever you get your US DOT number, just look up like US DOT search, whatever, and you can find everybody that has a DOT number in your area, and FCMA or whatever it is. And you can just, find people. But
so when you do that, when you're setting up your shipment on Amazon, do you just say that you're not using a partnered carrier? You're just using your own you're using other?
Yeah, we just
and then it gives you your tracking information. It gives you the appointment, if you will, or the ability to deliver that yourself. And then you would give that information to whoever's delivering your stuff for you.
Yeah, and it's if you have your own carrier central and all that. If you want to go that advanced, and I mean, obviously, most people out there are not going to go that advanced. These are definitely more if you're doing volume. One thing I would say, though, like I said, to close the loop, is that one of the biggest challenges is the new send to Amazon and how they want you to send your stuff all over the nation and all that. There is a really cool company out there called 9Yard. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
And they definitely help you get stuff to go to one spot. So I highly recommend those guys. It's not perfect, but it definitely helps you go to one fulfillment center or one or two, or Amazon's making it harder and harder because they don't, they want the stuff to go where they want to go in their system. So, but it used to be with the before the send to Amazon was a requirement, it was a lot easier. We could just, we had ways to figure that out, but that's one hack that anybody can do that I recommend is use 9Yard.
Okay. I love it. So how can people, before we ask how can people get in contact with you, what is your one piece of advice for somebody, for either people selling on Amazon or thinking about getting started selling on Amazon?
The riches are made in the niches. That is 100% true. And when you market to everyone, you market to no one. So make sure that you are, marketing to women that are 48 years old, that have one child, and that go to the gym once a week and wear white tennis shoes. And if you know what I'm saying, like get as niche as possible. And a lot of people don't think that way. I didn't think that way at the beginning, but whatever you're doing, if you're selling a product, serve that customer, and that customer, when you get more exact, that is your defined avatar. That person will pay more for the product. They will be more loyal to your brand because you will be the only brand out there that's serving that exact 48-year-old, whatever, white shoe wearing woman that, is really into gaming chairs or something. I don't know. But I don't know. But yeah, riches are made of ditches in anything in business.
I love it. I agree. And how can people get in contact with you? Tell us a little bit about your company and who's a good fit for your company, onlinesellerpartner.com.
Online
and tell us
selling partner.
Oh, onlinesellingpartner.com. It's funny. It's spelled out right there on the screen for me.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd get it right. But yeah, tell us about Online Selling Partner and who's a good partner for you, and how people can get in contact with you.
Yeah. So if you are a brand that has a vendor central relationship in the past, and now you're working with a bunch of distributors, or you're non-Amazon focused, or maybe you're not even on Amazon, but you're confident, or you already do about over $1 million in revenue a year on Amazon, but want someone to partner with you to help you take that to the next level, we do two things. We control and grow brands. So we control what's going on, make sure that your content's the way you want it, make sure you have a strategy, because most people just don't even have a strategy because they're focused on other, DSC or whatever, and they're not. And Amazon's like, it's an afterthought. So to a lot of big brands, right? So making sure that we help you control what you want going on, and then help you grow. And it's that simple. We control and grow your brand. So I don't know if any of those brands are listening, but if they are, definitely go to Online Selling Partner and reach out. But if you're just a normal person like me that doesn't have a brand that is, is selling over $1 million a year on Amazon that you wanted to give to Isaiah to manage, then, and we just buy the inventory and take it from there. We're not like an agency, but but you're like, what, I really like Isaiah's model, and it's very interesting. You could definitely stalk me on LinkedIn and DM me, and I even have like a little podcast on that I have that I'm doing and for brands, and we talk about like really nerdy, like advanced brand stuff. But yeah, you can definitely reach out anytime. I try to answer everybody. I'm starting to get more and more requests for consulting calls, and it's not really my business, but I definitely try to point people in the right direction anyway.
All right. Well, you guys, you heard it from Isaiah here. You can follow him on LinkedIn. I put the link here, and you can find Isaiah Fritz on LinkedIn. And Isaiah, thank you for sharing your awesome story with us today. I really enjoyed learning from you and learning about how, your journey. Everybody's journey looks a little bit different. And it was very inspiring to hear from you today. And thank you for teaching us about dropping stuff off to Amazon and how you did that. That was fun. Thanks everybody for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And we'll see you next time.
And make sure that, like, if you try to deliver to Amazon in your SUV, don't tell them who told you how to do that.
Yeah, don't tell them. Exactly. Point to this YouTube channel. No. Thanks everybody for subscribing and listening in today. Have a great rest of your week.